Luck, a Ghosts Movement essay. People say good luck when they are about to lose control of the outcome. They say it at hospital doors while holding coats and folded letters, outside interview rooms while standing awkwardly with their hands in their pockets, and to children on their first day of school while crouching down to eye level and smoothing hair that does not need smoothing. They say it at the end of phone calls when there is nothing left to add, when whatever comes next is no longer in their hands. Good luck is not encouragement, and it is not advice. It appears exactly where effort runs out. Nobody says good luck to someone making toast. They say it when something is at stake. Luck enters human language at thresholds, at moments when agency dissolves and consequence takes over. It arrives quietly, often disguised as politeness or habit, but underneath it sits something older, a sense that life is not fully contained by what we can touch or manage, a felt awareness that outcomes are moving somewhere beyond us. I remember sitting in a hospital waiting area while someone I loved was inside having scans. The room carried that familiar medical quiet. Televisions muted, chairs spaced to avoid eye contact, leaflets stacked neatly on low tables. Everyone there was holding something invisible. You could see it in shoulders and breath, in the way hands kept returning to pockets or bags. A woman across from me opened and closed her purse every few minutes, as if checking that something essential was still inside. A man stared at the same patch of wall for almost half an hour without blinking. A couple whispered to each other and then stopped talking altogether. Nobody was discussing statistics. Nobody was comparing treatment plans. People were listening for their names. In spaces like that, time behaves differently. Minutes stretch. The body leans forward without moving. You start noticing details that usually pass unnoticed. The hum of ventilation, the pattern in the carpet, the way someone clears their throat before standing up. You feel the future, pressing in from somewhere you cannot locate. Not imagined, felt. As if what is about to happen already has weight. This is where luck lives, not as an abstract idea, but as sensation. It lives in the tightening of the chest while waiting for a name to be called, in the way parents hold their phones after midnight while refreshing messages and checking location apps, in the silence between emails, the pause before test results load, and the space between sending a message and seeing 3 dots appear. It lives in timing, in the small margins between events that later become entire life stories. People build futures on moments they did not schedule. They meet someone by accident, and 10 years later, that person is part of their family. They miss a train and avoid a crash. They arrive at the right place too late. They get sick early enough for treatment to work. They fall in love just as someone else is leaving. Their child happens to have a teacher who notices them. Their friend happens to answer the phone. Sometimes nothing happens at all, and that becomes the miracle. You feel this most sharply when children enter your life. From the moment a child is born, luck is already present. Health, location, family stability, access to care, safety, education, emotional environment, all of these arrive before the child can choose anything at all. Parents feel this instinctively. They watch their children sleep and feel the weight of everything that could touch them. They carry quiet prayers through supermarkets. They feel relief when fevers break and terror when phones ring late. They say good luck before exams, first dates, and driving tests, knowing that competence only carries someone so far. There is a particular kind of luck that enters a household when children become teenagers. It is no longer the visible kind you can manage with gates, routines, and packed lunches. It becomes atmospheric. It lives in timing, in choices made away from you, in who they sit next to on buses, and in what they tell you and what they do not. Parenting shifts from protection to vigilance, from doing to waiting. I remember waiting up for my own child one evening, sitting on the edge of the sofa with the television on low, pretending to be relaxed while checking the clock every few minutes. Nothing dramatic was happening. They were simply out with friends, doing what teenagers do. But this is where something deeper starts moving. You rehearse contingencies without wanting to. You imagine alternative endings to ordinary nights. You picture cars you have never seen. You calculate how long it should take to walk home from that particular street. You notice how the house sounds different when one person is missing from it. Parents do not talk about this enough. About how the body starts carrying futures. About how you learn to live with multiple versions of the same evening, unfolding in parallel until the door finally opens. You sit there thinking about the world your child is moving through, the drivers on the roads, the moods of strangers, the way one careless moment can ripple outward. You are not catastrophizing, you are acknowledging reality. You are holding the fact that love does not create immunity. When they eventually come home, dropping shoes by the door, heading straight for the fridge, offering a casual hey that barely registers the hours you have just lived inside, something in you releases. You do not tell them what your nervous system has been doing. You do not describe the alternate timelines that have just collapsed back into one. You simply ask if they had a good time and carry on making tea. This is luck in its most ordinary form. Not celebration or jackpot, but arrival. The quiet relief of a body returning to the room. Tomorrow will bring new thresholds, new exposures, new negotiations with a world you cannot supervise. This is why parents say good luck so often, even when they pretend they are being casual. They say it before exams, driving lessons, and first jobs. They say it when children leave for university. They say it because they understand, in their bones, that love does not flatten probability. They know that timing, chance, and circumstance will touch their children, whether they approve or not. Some people meet this waiting by trying to shape it. This is where manifestation enters. I once knew a woman who manifested every morning at her kitchen table. She woke before the rest of the house, made herself a cup of coffee, and opened a notebook she kept beside the fruit bowl. On the first page she had written, in careful handwriting, the life she was trying to grow toward: a stable income, a home that felt safe, a relationship that did not leave her braced for impact. She read these lines out loud while the kettle clicked off behind her. She came to this practice after everything destabilized at once. Her job ended unexpectedly. Her partner moved out. Her savings thinned faster than she had expected. She did not arrive here from abundance. She arrived from rupture. After reading, she would close her eyes and picture herself walking into a small office she had never seen, shaking hands with people whose faces were still blank. She imagined sitting at a desk with her own mug on it, laughing in a staff kitchen, and feeling the weight of keys in her pocket that belonged to somewhere permanent. She did this every morning, even when she woke up tired and afraid. From the outside, it might have looked like magical thinking. From inside her life, it was discipline. It kept her sending applications. It kept her practicing interviews. It stopped her collapsing inward when rejection emails arrived. Eventually, she did find work. It was not the job she had imagined, and it came through a friend of a friend rather than any of the positions she had visualized. But something had shifted. She had stayed oriented toward possibility long enough for timing to meet effort. She never claimed manifestation created the job. She said it helped her survive the waiting. There is another story that does not soften. 2 young men I once worked with started on the same day. They were the same age, both bright, both eager, both trying to build something that looked like a future. On paper they arrived equal, but their mornings were not the same. One woke up in a quiet flat his parents helped him secure. He made coffee in a clean kitchen, checked emails on reliable internet, and walked to work with energy left in his body. In the evenings, he studied for extra qualifications. The other woke up to noise. He shared a crowded house with relatives who were already stretched thin. He caught early buses and late trains. He arrived at work tired before the day had even started. Some mornings his phone had no data. Some evenings he went straight to a second job. He missed deadlines because transport failed or siblings needed collecting. He apologized more. He smiled less. After a year, the first was promoted. The second was put on a performance plan. No one in management talked about luck. They talked about attitude. Both were doing their best. Only one had room to breathe. This is where luck stops being abstract and starts leaving marks on bodies. And beneath all of this, something keeps pulling. A sense that life is not closed, that futures carry weight before they arrive, that there is a gravity moving through waiting rooms, kitchens, buses, and bedrooms. In the ghosts movement, this is called the pull, not as doctrine, but as felt condition. It is what people lean into when they say good luck. It is what they touch when they pray, hope, manifest, or make small bargains with the air. People do not need shared beliefs to feel this. They feel it beside hospital beds. They feel it holding newborns. They feel it waiting for messages that might change everything. They feel it sending children out into streets they cannot protect. They feel it falling in love, knowing it might end. Luck is how they speak to that. Sometimes it comes back to something as small as a phone on a kitchen counter. You tell yourself you are just making tea or putting away shopping, but you keep glancing at the screen. You know exactly how long it has been since the last message. You register every vibration, even the ones that are not meant for you. Your body stays slightly forward, as if leaning towards sound. A child is out somewhere in the dark. A friend is waiting on results. A partner is driving home on wet roads. A name has been called in a waiting room you are not sitting in. You hold all of this at once, without ceremony or language. This is what love looks like when it has nowhere to go. When the message finally arrives, when the door opens, when the car pulls up outside, something inside you loosens. You breathe out without noticing you are holding your breath. You say things like, "How was it? Did you eat? Are you okay?" You do not say how many futures just collapsed back into one. Tomorrow there will be another threshold, another waiting, another quiet moment where love meets uncertainty and has nothing practical to offer. Later, someone will stand in a doorway or at the end of a phone call and say good luck. They will mean everything by it.